Ever feel like you're kind of just stuck,
Yeah.
spinning your wheels but not getting anywhere?
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
It's a common feeling.
Mhm.
And, you sent over some excerpts from this book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Oh, yeah, this one.
And it seems like, maybe this deep dive is going to give us the key to break out of that.
Yeah.
It's all about achieving, extraordinary success by thinking bigger and acting bolder than, we ever thought possible.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this 10X mindset. What's Cardone's, core message here?
Well, Cardone, he believes that most of us are setting the bar way too low.
Okay.
He's not talking about just like slightly bigger goals, right?
Right.
He's talking about multiplying them by 10.
Whoa.
Which is a lot. And what's fascinating is that this isn't just like a motivational gimmick.
Yeah.
It's like by setting these outrageously ambitious targets, it forces you to think differently and to tap into like a level of creativity and resourcefulness you didn't even know you had.
I get it. It's like, throwing like a whole log on a flickering campfire.
Yeah.
Suddenly you have this roaring fire.
Yeah.
That demands attention.
You got to take care of it.
But how does this translate into action?
Well, Cardone's adamant that success isn't about luck or talent. It's about massive action.
Okay.
And he lays out these 4 degrees of action.
Okay.
It starts with do nothing, which, well, kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And then there's retreat, which is basically giving up when things get tough.
Right.
Most of us, he argues, operate at the level of normal action. We go to work, we pay our bills, maybe we try a new hobby on the weekends.
Yeah.
But that gets us average results, right? A comfortable but predictable life.
Right.
But if you want to break through to achieve something extraordinary, you need to operate at the level of massive action.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the difference here.
Yeah.
But can you give me like a real world example? How would these 4 degrees play out in, say, learning a new language?
Absolutely. So do nothing is pretty clear. You just don't bother. This retreat might be signing up for a class, getting overwhelmed, and then quitting after a few weeks.
Huh.
Normal action is diligently attending that weekly class, doing your homework, maybe even like watching a foreign film now and then.
Right.
But massive action.
Yeah.
That's immersing yourself completely. You move to a country where that language is spoken. You surround yourself with native speakers. You force yourself to think, dream, and even argue in that new language. Every waking moment becomes an opportunity to learn and grow.
Wow, that's quite a shift. So how does this apply to setting those 10X goals? Does it just mean, taking our existing goals and just adding a 0 at the end?
Not exactly. It's about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, dreaming bigger than you ever thought possible.
Okay.
So let's say your goal was to write a blog post a week.
Okay.
Applying the 10X thinking might mean launching a full-fledged online course.
Okay.
So this forces you to not just create content, but to build a community partner with industry leaders and develop a comprehensive marketing strategy.
Right.
You're not just writing, you're building an entire ecosystem around your expertise.
That's a great example. And, I love how Cardone doesn't just talk about competing. He wants us to dominate.
Dominate, yeah.
It really gets you thinking, what does that even mean in your field?
That's a good question.
Is it about market share?
Yeah.
Is it about thought leadership?
I think it's about setting the agenda, not just following it.
Okay.
Domination might mean becoming the go-to expert in your niche.
Right.
Maybe having the largest market share or constantly innovating and setting industry trends. Think of companies like Apple or Tesla.
Yeah.
They don't just compete, they disrupt, they innovate.
Right.
They create this loyal following that eagerly awaits their next move.
They do. Okay, I'm feeling fired up. But let's be honest, this all sounds a bit intimidating. How do we avoid getting overwhelmed by the sheer scale of these 10X goals?
I think it starts with rejecting what Cardone calls average thinking.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't mean being reckless. But it does mean questioning conventional wisdom, thinking differently, and being willing to take calculated risks.
Okay.
So, for example, instead of following the traditional path in your career, maybe you identify an emerging trend and become a pioneer in that space.
Right.
It's about seeing opportunity where others see only obstacles.
This whole idea of overcommitting and over-delivering,
Yeah.
this might sound a bit scary at first,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to see the logic here. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, it's about pushing yourself beyond your perceived limits.
Okay.
By intentionally taking on more than you think you can handle, you force yourself to rise to the occasion.
Mm.
So imagine volunteering for a challenging project at work that everyone else is hesitant to take on,
Yeah.
or setting like a seemingly impossible deadline for yourself.
Right?
This pressure forces you to develop new skills and strategies that you wouldn't have otherwise. It's like a muscle,
I
right?
see.
You have
Yeah.
to push it to its limits to see real growth.
I've definitely experienced that firsthand.
Yeah.
There have been times when I've taken on projects that seemed way beyond my capacity.
Right.
But somehow by pushing myself, I not only completed them,
Yeah.
but I exceeded my own expectations.
Yeah.
It's like you unlock this hidden reserve of energy and creativity.
Absolutely. And while Cardone emphasizes making success a central focus, it's crucial to remember that balance is key.
Right.
An unhealthy obsession can lead to burnout and neglect in other areas of life. It's about finding that sweet spot
Right.
where ambition fuels your actions, but not at the expense of your well-being.
Of course. So how do we practically implement these ideas? Does Cardone offer any specific strategies?
He suggests a few key things. First, write down your 10x goals every single day.
Okay.
This keeps them front and center in your mind, guiding your decisions and actions.
Yeah.
Second, constantly assess, are your actions aligned with those goals? If not, you got to adjust course.
Okay.
And finally, surround yourself with supportive people.
Yeah.
People who believe in your vision and will push you to reach your full potential.
Those are really actionable takeaways. Now, if you were to apply this 10x rule to one area of your life, what would it be and what would that look like? It's a question for both of us.
Yeah.
More importantly, it's a question for you listening. What's that one area where you've been playing it safe?
Yeah.
Holding yourself back? What would it mean to truly dominate in that space? The 10x rule at its core is about pushing yourself beyond those perceived limits, taking massive action and rejecting average thinking.
Yeah.
It's a call to step outside your comfort zone and embrace a bolder, more ambitious version of yourself. As we wrap up this deep dive, I encourage you to reflect on these concepts and consider how you can apply them in your own pursuit of success. Think bigger, act bolder, and dominate.
Dominate.